you under there are like primarily if you just go back to an Elasticsearch website and type nodes, you get to something called master node, data node, and you also get to see something called coordinator node, or you people sometimes they see something on ingest node. There you get to see like different types of nodes available in Elasticsearch. Let's try to understand one by one what each of these node is trying to convey you. Do you see these nodes over here, right? The master eligible or the data node and the ingest node and machine learning node. Machine learning node people then use it generally. People who have a dedicated expert license only people would are often using the machine learning node, but this in the generally doesn't come into our consideration. So these two plays a vital role. Let's try to understand one by one. So, like coming to the first point, the master node. The master node is trying to. It is the only one node in a computer or a cluster. There can be only one master node in a whole of cluster. You are clear with this point, right?
Yeah.
You
So
can.
that means
Yes,
okay.
Rajni.
So that means right now, so I have installed in Elasticsearch in my laptop. So probably I'll be having only one node, and that is master node.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Without a master node, Elasticsearch cluster can't function. The reason as it follows, because the guy who called as a master knows all the information about the cluster. Where is the data is about, how should I go and reach the data, if I there's a request coming in from the end user, how should I make sure I navigate it, all of which is taken care by the master guy. Clear, right?
Yeah.
Now let's try to go maybe a little deeper into it. So you can have something called master eligible node. What I mean by master eligible node is something like you see might have seen right CM eligible candidate. You might have seen in India or any other country they have something called CM or PM eligible candidate. So two people or three people will be competing for the chief minister post for a given state. But at the end of a time, after the election is done, there's only one guy who's been elected as the master or the chief minister. You are clear with the example over here, right?
Yes.
Likewise, in Elasticsearch also, there can be you can have like multiple eligible master, but there can be at a single point of instant there can be only one master or the chief minister if you want to say in the colloquial term. So you understand the premise, right? Like you might ask a question. Some time back I said that there can be only one master. If master node is not available, you can't even access it. Assume that you have a group of 10 nodes in your computer and there's only one master, and if your master is not working, then you can't access your data in the cluster. For sure you can't access the data. That is very problem here, right? Without accessing the data, my problem starts to exaggerate. You understand what I'm trying to say? That's
Yes.
what people call as something called single point failure. If that's what people also advocate in Hadoop kind of system. If a main node goes for a toss, that's what people call in Hadoop the rack something called. Have you know about Hadoop before, Rajini? Say, Vinod?
No hurry.
Okay, in Hadoop they have something called master node. They also have something, and they have something called prime. They call it a name node in generally. In Hadoop 1.x they call it a name node, and along with the name node they have something called secondary name node. So when primary node name node goes for a down, second node now comes for a rescue for you. That's the whole idea. Similarly, you can have like multiple eligible masters, but for a given instant of time, you can have only one master because the master has been elected through the master election. So it like the normal election, master election also take place. With the help of election, they decide only one master to be operational. Let's assume that you have three computer, and if you have allocated two masters for that, as we know that there can be only one master. After the election is being done, the master will be elected for a till the master goes down. That guy will be the master for the entire life cycle. Clear, right?
Yeah.
So that is about the master's operation. Now let's see what are the stuffs which master will be responsible for. Master is a guy who knows where in each data is present in the cluster. So if you have like 10 to 15 nodes, all the data, like whom should I reroute it, all the load balancing stuff is taken care by the master. If there is any bulk indexing request or bulk searching request, master is a guy who breaks down the data into smaller chunks and divide it into individual instance. You understand, if I insert like 1,000 records to my Elasticsearch, we know that it has to get divided into multiple shards. You understand, right?
Yes.
Because we define, if you have defined it into 5 shards, then it has to divide into 5 different pieces. So all its breakage will be done using the master node. That is the level one. So the master is the guy who will be responsible for dividing the data into smaller chunks. After dividing into a smaller chunk, then the next operation would be is to reroute to a different node, because as we know that he has to cleverly divide the data so that you have a better replica, you have better fault tolerant behavior. I can't store all the shard in the same place, but I will try to store in a different what is it called, part into a different instance. That's the first principle. Also, the you have something called replica. Not all node get the update at the same time in Elasticsearch. So who's having the recent data? The recent data constants is being taken care by the master. If you are going through a system like Spark, not Spark, if you think like a system like Cassandra, they have like 2 node consistency or 3 node consistency, wherein which if 2 node give say that having a same amount of data, then they gets approved with the data integrity. So that is all about it. Clear, right? So
Yeah.
what is the master operation is all about?
Yeah, Hari.
And a master is a guy who also does, I said, right? He's like doing like lot of operation. Like as I said, he's helping in ingestion, he's helping in routing, he's helping in getting the concerns for the data. He knows where and each data is present. So the master guy becomes so critical that if master goes down, you are doomed for it. So most of the time, people allocate a heavy, good computing resource for the master. Like they give a better top-notch computer in the cluster for the master. But what happened is they say a lot of responsibility is given for the master. He's taking like a lot of heavy load to it. So to de-isolate or de-delegate it, they introduce a concept of something called coordinator node. Do you see the coordinating node over here, right? So
Yes.
they say that requests like search requests or bulk request may involve data held on different node. That's called the executing phase. This will be done using the coordinator node. It's something like they are deduced from derived from the on the master node, which does the some few operations for you. That's what they mention about the scatter and gather phase over here. So if you think from the Hadoop world, they call us the map produce job. Here they call this a scatter and gather job. That's all about it. Clear, right?
Yeah, clear. So, but I have a question here. Then let's say if you have three master nodes, then how are you going to select one master node among three?
That election will be done internally by Elasticsearch, Vinod. Or else, if you want to say that no, if you want to give a preferential treatment saying that this node to be only to become master, we can also see that in the during setup. I'll show you like what configuration you should mark for it. Because I have 2 laptop here, I said, right? One laptop only I will try to mark as a master. Another laptop I'll just try to keep as a data node. We will see the configuration how to be done over there. If I just say you are able to understand it, it's just a small configuration change. By doing that, you will be able to do that operation. Clear?
Yeah, clear.
Any other question, Vinod?
No hurry.
Okay. Now let's discuss about something called data node. Data node is a guy who does all the CRUD operation, which is something called create, read, update, and delete. So he's the one who's doing like a lot of heavy database operation. So this guy requires a good amount of storage device. Like the data should be stored in a good storage medium, so he can able to do his operations very smoothly. And all the search aggregation will be done on the data node. Hope you are clear, right? What is it all about? Clear?
Yes.
He's a guy who will be doing a CP intensive, IO intensive job in Elasticsearch. So you should make sure that you get the better thing. Clear? So
Yeah,
now
clear.
let's try to make our hands dirty by going into the configuration mode. Let me open the part and show you that. I'm changing my screen to a different editor now. Uh, I'll be cutting off the access for it, the current browser. This is the same folder which we are accessing some time back, right? This is the Elasticsearch 7.2.0. This is where we have that our instance up and running. So if you carefully see here, these are the different folders we seen in the past, right? We went through on a classroom what is a bin folder would have having, what is a config data, JDK and lib folder is all about. Now you remember, right? I said all of the configuration for Elasticsearch comes under the Elasticsearch YML. Do you remember that the saying what I said some time back?
Yes.
Now I'm just opening the configuration folder and opening the elasticsearch.yml. Let's see the properties over here. Can you see this property here?
Yeah.
Here we will be doing like lot of configurations today. I'll just explain you what is all about. The things whatever you see on the highlighted part, right? That is the configuration which we did by ourselves. The default one which you see on the gray color, we didn't even touch it upon. So whatever you see on the color mode is only that stuff we are configured for this session. That is also required for the cluster. The first important thing what we have to configure is something called cluster name. So you might have seen that if you have a group of 10 node, if all 10 node have to operate in as a cluster, then they should have something on common, right? You understand what I'm trying to say? If you want to represent the CSE or IT batch, you have group of people, all the group of people, you have some common tag name. That common tag name here is a department or the classroom. If you call it as a CSEA, people understand this belong to CSE department. You hope you understand what analogy I'm trying to say here, right?
Yeah.
If you work with any kind of distributed systems, either like Spark or Cassandra or even Hadoop, the cluster name configuration remains same. For all of your cluster name, you will give a common cluster name because only with the cluster name, they try to know that I should join with this guy and I have to accomplish this operation. You might be wondering why should I do that? I'll just give the worst other way around. In an organization, you are working in a team, and there's another team who's also working on Elasticsearch. If you don't have a cluster configuration or cluster comma name to be done, then your data might mix with their team, right? They might be handling critical data. You might be having a client worth data. Both should not get mixed, right? If you start to get mixed up, then a client can actually see what is a internal company's data all about. You hope you understand, right? Only if you have a clear demarcation saying that this is a cluster is for this purpose and this is a cluster for this purpose, then your de-isolation will remain the same. Hope you are clear, right? If there
Yeah.
is no de-isolation, if two teams are using same cluster name, then definitely you have to share the data with your two different teams. That is for sure. There will be happening something called shard migration or index migration will happen between the available node, because Elasticsearch internally will try to make sure that it will try to spread the data as much as possible, because it has to increase the fault tolerant behavior. To accomplish the operation, it will try to spread data among all of the species. Hope you are clear, right?
Yeah.
This is all about the cluster name. So I just give a cluster name something called Hurry cluster stage. I would also show you the configuration to be done on the laptop too. First, we will just complete the configuration over here. The next part you see something called node name. The node name what we configure is this is like again a very crucial part. The node name is common for each and every node in the cluster. You may again ask question what is so fantastic is all about. Being working in distributed mode, if something goes for a problem, if you want to do a troubleshoot, you have only one option, which is looking into the log file. If you want to look into the log file, then you have only one chance to do that. If you are looking in the log file, if something is being reported, if there is no common unique name for the node name for in the cluster, then it becomes very trouble to do a traversal back to the node, right? Let's say there is a laptop one, a laptop one, there is two things has been there. If some log is printing you that this node laptop one is not working properly, without the distinguish, you're not able to find it, right? Whether laptop one is having a problem or laptop two is having a problem. Do you understand the importance of having node name over here?
Yeah.
Great. Then you get to see the other two properties where you see something called path.data and path.log, which is they're trying to say that if you have something called path.data, you can store the data in a different location. Generally, what people do is they install Elasticsearch in a different drive and they have the data in a different drive. Why? Because the hardware is a very expensive unit. They try to make sure that data resides in a different storage medium where they configure the right configuration. Do you understand the right configurations, Vinod?
Yeah, Hari. That RAID 0, RAID 1. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So sometimes what people do is because to have a better performance, people store the data in the right storage part. So at any point of time, if you want to change it, you can change the place where you have the storage. Even if it for MySQL or Postgres or any other database, there is also a data folder which you can modify at any point of time. So if you have worked with any database system previously, they have the data folder. All the table information gets stored in the that desired location. What we see in the index. Clear right till this point?
Yeah.
And next important thing is the network host. If you want to make your computer accessible from your local machine, then you should definitely should make sure that your network host is up and running. You should make sure that your network host is bind to 0.0.02 or to some IP address. If by default will be local host. If you try to access your node from another computer which is running, you have a, let's assume that you have two laptop and you have installed Elasticsearch in one machine, and if you don't do any configuration, if you want to access that Elasticsearch, that is not possible because by default Elasticsearch doesn't allow the remote binding. Only if you come and say that I want to access this remote binding, you will be able to do that operation. Clear, right?
Yeah.
And next you see these two property here, right? We know that in a network there can be like multiple computer where you can have installed Elasticsearch. Instead of Elasticsearch, go and ask that whether you have instance of Elasticsearch up and running. If you are defined what is the IP of a machine where Elasticsearch is running, the job becomes much smarter. You understand, right? So I given IP address of this computer which is 127. I have given IP address of my another computer is 190.160.13. You understand the IP address concept here, right? Instead of
Yeah.
Elastic go and visit all the computer, I'm just giving the information that you go and access the data in this following this IP. Clear, right? And this is the where we configure the node.master and node.data. Can you see it over here, right? I just made this computer as node.master and this computer has node.data equal to true. So this computer or this instance can work both as the master as well as the data node. Hope you're clear, right? So it can also do job over here. Clear?
Yeah.
And you asked a question, right? How should I give a priority treatment for the specific node? This you do by this way. You see here, right? Cluster dot initial master by turning off this configuration because this is the node name. If you see the node name, this is the node name we are configured here. If you are given this part, even though there is two node master you are configured over here, only this will become master. Clear, right?
Yes.
Great. Now let's run this configuration command prompt. Let's try to understand it. What happens here? Let me share you the terminal more now. Hope you can see the terminal, right?
Yes.
Now let me just run it and let's see the log file what it explains to us. Do you see the laptop one over here, right?
Yeah,
There is
Hari.
our name and list of modules is being done. I never changed the data configuration, data folder configuration. That's why it resides in the same location. and the heap size is being configured as like approximately is 1 GB, and you get to see that data has been started up. Now, do you see the cluster health is right? It's been red to yellow because shard is not available. So I am just want to start a fresh instance. So I'm parallelly starting the Kibana. I just want to delete the all the data present in the instance, and I will take the another laptop of mine, and we will do the experiment. I'll just open the browser. I just want to delete the data alone. So I'm not doing anything fancy here. Let me delete it. Parallelly, I'll join from the other laptop to Rajani. Give me a moment, okay?
Yeah, okay.
The cluster name remains the same, but you see the node name is different, right? Because node name is the only factor which will try to distinguish between these two computers. Clear, right?
Yeah,
And coming down the lane, you have seen the property for the allowing the network access. Like most of the time, people forget to add the network host. Because of that, they are not able to identify the computer in the network. So this is very very crucial to do this operation. So the once it's done, you have to come down and configure the discovery zeros. You see here, right? Now I given the IP address of the laptop one and laptop two over here. That is 1.4 and 1.13. But let's anyway check what is the IP. It have changed over here because I didn't set any static IP. So it's 1.13. So definitely should have been like 1.4. Yeah, and we have something called laptop one. So here also I'm just marking and giving a privilege treatment for the master. Do you see here, right? I said the only the node one should be a master over here. And do you see the property over here, right? I didn't elect this as a master for sure, but I just made that this computer will work as a data node alone. Do you understand, right? What is happening here?
yeah. No,
Okay.
sorry, but then what is that? So cluster initial master nodes we set up to, I mean, laptop one, right?
Yeah.
So that means laptop one is going to be that master node.
Yes, true. You said right. You want to mark as a laptop one to be a master, then laptop one will be a master always.
Okay,
Even though if you come and say that if you come and modify this node or master equal to true, because I have just given the preferential treatment on this line number, that doesn't take this as a master for sure. Let's assume that this laptop 2 got started first and laptop 1 is joining little later. I have said that only after laptop 1 you can have a provision, means only on the free of laptop 1, laptop 2 will take a chance. Still that it don't doesn't take a chance. Clear?
okay, yeah,
Now may I have to do something over here. Now do you see here, now it's becoming laptop 2. Earlier we saw as a laptop 1, but now it becomes laptop 2. Okay, I understand the problem. Okay, getting started. Clear. Laptop 2 started. Somewhere in the line you should have seen the cluster name details too. Bounding to this address. Do you see here, right? Master somewhere here. No dot master equal to laptop 1. Do you see the laptop 1 name over here?
yeah,
So now I'm reverting back to my older computer. Let's take control and let's see in Kibana how it is being operating upon. Do you see my Kibana console over here?
Yes.
Do you see the IP address of these two computers, right? Earlier, when we fired this instance, you would have seen only laptop one. Now you get to see these two nodes have been functional for you to act as a like cluster. So this is works as a cluster mode. If I index some data into Elasticsearch, let me index some data in here. Let me call the Python script what we had earlier. So right now the data is actually empty over here. I don't see any data here. Do you see there is no data, right?
Yeah.
Let us index the data and try to understand how the shard is being distributed. You asked a question last class, right? How the shard got distributed. Let me just run it. Give me a second. I will open the application. Yeah, have any questions, Vinod? Clear?
Yeah. Clear, Hari.
So, what kind of work you will be taking up? Vinod, you will be doing operations or you will be doing a development part generally? Like, what is your anticipation on that?
Maybe I'm planning to take this operations, Hari.
Okay. I am now sending some data into using Python script, which you may not see in your screen. I'm doing it over here. It's done. Let's see the data. Do you see this one, right?
Yeah.
By default, the primary has been one shot and replication is also a factor of one. So the data has got distributed. So to avoid this problem, so now what we are going to do is we are trying to increase the primary, the shard counters too, because so I want to data get spread across these two computers. Then we will run the command and see that how the data gets distributed in these two nodes. Okay. You understand the experiment what we are going to do, right?
Yeah.
Great. So I'm just gonna create a new index. You remember the command to create index, right? It's about
Yes,
the
sir.
put the index name, let's say Titanic dot underscore settings. Just a minute, let me check the configuration. Or I can do this way. Number of shards you see option over here, right? By default it is one. Now I'm making it to two. Clear? Because I have like two computers just want to randomly try this option because one is itself sufficient for this amount of data. I just want to have a feel for you. I just now I'm changing to Titanic now. I'm re-indexing the same application now. Yeah, it is done. Let's see the cat indices. Do you see the property over here?
Yeah.
But wait, I see something very weird. I said the number of shards is equal to why is not taking place.
Yeah.
Very weird. Command is correct, I guess, but why is it done? This is correct. We have done. Did I run this command? But Rajani, I think I didn't run it. I guess. Let me do one thing. Let me delete the Titanic. I think I didn't run this command. I think I just said this to be done. That's what I guess. Did I run this command before on the last time?
Even
I
uh,
don't think I didn't run this command. I guess that's why it got a thing. Allowed are the post. Put.
that kind. Yeah.
Why is that you're getting a problem? Not updating index. Okay. I'm doing the first time update. Why is that problem? Great for me. Strange.
Next to put you need to the enter slash.
So it's not required generally. Yeah. Now it's working. For some reason, that syntax is not working. It's something very weird for me. Okay, let's check what is the properties it acquired. We can check the property by get the index name alone. Now, do you see the primary shard and replica as one, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm filing the same script to get the job done. That's done. Let's do a cat indices. Yeah, that's now two. Now let's query it. The data is there or not. Do you see the data over here, right?
Yes.
You are clear with, do you have any questions to this point?
No hurry. I'm good.
Okay, now let's try to see whether the how the shard is being distributed. There is something called head plugin in what is it called Elasticsearch, which has been deprecated, but it is one of the cool plugin I would say. It will be easy to understand. Let me see whether I can get you that. Now, do you see this point over here?
Yeah.
Now you used to ask me right how the shards get distributed over here. If you carefully see it's 0, 1, 0, and how the shard has been distributed. Now we have three index something called Titanic, Mapping, ELK, and Kibana. Now the data is cleverly spread across all of it. The beauty part is the student laptop one. Do you see it right? All my data resides in laptop 2. Do you see this thing over here? If I go and disable laptop 2, then I'm done. Clear? Like what is it happening here, Vinod?
So for that laptop one, there is a zero, right? I mean that there is one chart. What is that?
That is Kibana, Kibana.
Okay.
We see the Kibana. If you do a cat indices part again, I'll run it for you. You would have seen three indexes here, which is the mapping ELK, dot Kibana, and Titanic. Dot Kibana is like where are the properties related for Kibana stored in this file in this index. That is what you see here. Do you see this behavior right?
Yeah.
Now you understand what is happening here. Now, if you see with the symbol called star, which is the master node, it's always superstar. That's why they have this part, and you get to see the worker node. Do you see this option here, right? The
Yeah.
circle one gets the worker mode. If you see the indices, browser, You get to see all these properties over here. You can do also like few sort of queries. This is like they're using it from version 1.x2. Now all of it property can be mimicked back in it, but this UI stuff is around is pending. They didn't come and integrate into it. So there are like few other tools to do that. But this is like good to have to just give a visual clue like what is it there exactly. Clear?
Okay, so for laptop too, we have, I mean, like two shards and one replica, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now, so we executed which query? So we inserted, I mean, like which document? The Titanic or both?
Titanic we inserted. Actually, we inserted both actually to be frank. But Titanic is the one we had the shard as two. We saw two shards, right?
Yeah.
And one more thing, generally the people used to give shard as three because they don't want to have a split brain problem. They are generally given the odd number. Most of the time when you design cluster, always design by the number of odd number. Don't try to choose the even number. Because if even number goes for a problem, it has a problem with consensus. Like if one node goes for a down, the odd number comes for rescue for you. Clear, right?
Okay, so whenever we creating a nodes, so we always specify that odd number.
Yeah, exactly. Node as well as the shard. Try to make that is thumb rule generally.
Yeah, got it.
You understood, right, how the data is getting sorted upon. Clear, right? Do you see the Python screen over here, right?
Yeah.
In this part, like there are like two things. Like the Elasticsearch has been designed handled by you, and if someone wants to use Elasticsearch, what is the IP you would provide in a cluster? In a cluster, you have a lot of computer. To which IP address do you generally assign it all the requests? Either you may assign to the master, right? I said only the master knows where each and every data is present. Do you agree with me?
Yeah.
So we generally use the master IP. If there's a coordination node comes in, so all the applications should have hit the coordination node, not the master node. I hope I answered the question. Or I didn't understand this part.
Yeah, right. So initially, so I mean, still I'm not clear, Hari.
Okay, let me explain you this way. For example, assume that you have only Kibana. Kibana is the only tool used by your client. Your client can be internal team or your IT team also. Assume that that is a way clear. They know how to access only the Kibana. Clear?
Okay.
But the data what is coming to your IT infra is very, very high because you have like thousands of computer in your organization. All the data you are continuously collecting and you are indexing into Elasticsearch. Definitely it is very large amount of data and the number of people who's gonna access that Kibana portal is asking that there are 50 people who's gonna access it, okay? Assume that the 50 concurrent requests can come into Elasticsearch. Now, if there is a 50 request, you have installed Kibana in one of the machine, and everyone will be using the Kibana from that machine. Do you agree with me?
Yeah.
If that is the case, if all the requests has to go to Elasticsearch, right? Because Kibana is just like a UI platform. From UI platform, it has to navigate internally to the Elasticsearch cluster. You agree with me, right? You're clear with
Right.
the story to this point.
Yeah.
Then, if the request has to be forwarded to Elasticsearch, either I can forward to master if there is no coordination node, or else I will coordinate what's it called, assign it to the coordination node. So now all the requests or the inbound requests will go to the coordination node. From there, it will proceed upon. So I clear, right? So then all the 50 requests instead of hitting the master, now all the 50 requests will hit the coordination node and get the job done and go back and replace back the user. Clear?
Yeah, clear. So once that request goes to coordination node, after that, what will happen?
From the coordination node, it knows that where should I redirect all the requests, and it does something called scatter and gather phase. I said right, something called map and reduce. So the first thing happens is it goes to the individual data node. So my data resides only on data node. That is for sure. That is the golden truth you have. All the data goes to the data node. From the data node, the data is getting processed. Assume that 1,000 records. Assume that we have like 5 nodes. For each computer to reply 200 records or data. So all the data has to be combined back, right? The combined data is combined back to the coordinated node, because scattering and gathering back all the data from all this machine, and will be response will be replied back to the client. Clear?
Yeah, clear.
Great. Any more questions, Vinod?
I think that's it, Harry.
Okay. Once you practice it, you will have a lot of questions, because when you have questions, I understand you totally understand something. Maybe you try today installing this to cluster configuration, Clear?
Yeah, yeah, sure. So, yeah, I have one more question. So,
Yes, please.
is there a script to create a cluster? Right now, actually, we are doing it manually, right?
Yeah.
So, is there any like automation script or something? So, like each time, instead of going there and creating it manually,
Have you heard about something Ansible and Chef before, Vinod? Ansible, Chef.
not really, Harry. I just heard that, Chef, but really, I'm not sure. So,
They try to configure the infra using a script level. They try to think as a script level. So if they want to spin a new instance, or if they want to maintain a uniform configuration across all of this part, they try to use the Ansible. So they try to configure all the configuration. They have something called playbook. By the option of playbook, they run it in they spin it each of this computer. Do you see this option here, right? What is IP they have to configure? This is altogether different world, which is something called configuration management. People generally use this part to deploy it if they want to automate this stuff. Ansible or Chef, you can have a look of it. Maybe I'll just see there is any freely available is there for it. And we have playbook for it, but I have not used it. Can't guarantee whether it'll run. I've never used. I use Ansible for my different project. I have not used it for my research, because maybe you can give a try if you want to have automated way to accomplish operation. Hello.
yeah, Harry.
Maybe you can give this try, if you want to have a look of it.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
But generally, like a large organization have this thing part. If you want to make yourself in a DevOps level, try to learn this skill Ansible. It will be a super awesome tool to learn. It'll give you opens you the a lot of things you can automate it. Do you see, right? They saying what are the things you should be running on this computer, or what should you install the package. All of these steps you can do using the Ansible part. Clear?
Yeah, Harry.
Have you heard about GitLab before, Vinod?
No.
Okay. Even GitLab kind of project uses these kind of thing. They have this kind of configuration to get the job done. Sidekick is one of the scheduler they use it if they want to periodically run a job and get the job done. They use a sidekick. If you want to periodically back up something, people do a sidekick. That's what there are a lot of tools are there. You just have to understand and try using your hands dirty with this tool. So your daily job becomes much easier. Clear?